This was the week where the TSA just announced that it is no longer requiring airline passengers to wear masks, as did many different airlines, after a district judge struck down the CDC's mask guidelines. And that means if you're carrying a deadly virus on board, you're A-OK. But if you still want to bring a bottle of shampoo bigger than 4 ounces, you're a fucking terrorist. And you've got a biological weapon, okay? I've thrown a lot of good things out at security. And here's how that decision was announced mid-flight on multiple airlines. One of them was mid-flight, one of them before the flight. Take a look.
And I just checked with the company, and the company position is, the Delta position is, masks will be optional this evening for all crew and passengers as well. So it is cause to celebrate, but for those who want to wear masks, please feel free to, but it is optional, and that way we can alleviate any stress and discomfort. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bloomberg Quick Take. And here's another one before the plane takes off.
April 18th, the Biden administration announced that the Transportation Security Administration will no longer enforce the federal mandate requiring masks in all U.S. airports and on-board aircraft.
Finally!
Effective immediately, masks are optional for all airport employees, crew members, and customers inside U.S. airports and on-board aircraft.
All right, there we go. So I just imagine, you're having sex with a dude. He's got a condom on.
Mm-hmm.
And then the captain comes on the loudspeaker.
Yeah.
And it's just like, the Biden administration has just announced.
You are federally allowed to hit it raw.
Not obligated to wear that anymore. It doesn't feel as good. Am I right?
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah. You can't feel nothing through that. Yeah.
It's insane.
Just go raw dog.
It's insane to me that you consensually board a flight knowing that everyone is going to be masked. And then in the middle of it or before you take off, someone says, now we don't have to wear masks, and a bunch of people take their masks off. I just want to say I flew back from New York, and as soon as I landed, I felt like shit, and I tested, and I was positive for COVID. And I was wearing a mask the whole time, as was the gentleman sitting next to me. And I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty fucking sure he did not get COVID from me.
Well, I didn't, and I was wearing a mask.
Well, you definitely didn't, but we don't kiss on the lips,
That's true. You and that guy next to you kissed on the lips multiple times on that.
Yeah, exactly. We were making out heavy.
It's fucked up.
Heavy
He
petting.
was like 90.
Matt, I feel like you would. If I were on a flight with you,
I would start clapping.
You would clap, and I would give you the biggest glare in the world.
I mean, here's the thing. I'm of two minds. The first mind is my rational mind. The rational mind that goes, why are we announcing this like it's a fucking we got Bin Laden. It's like that's not it's not a we got Bin Laden situation. It's like it's just some federal bureaucracy, and we're just like, all right, yeah, we can get rid of the mask mandate. It's not like the idea that it's this cause for celebration to announce it right before is kind of ridiculous to me. And also, like, if you don't know that that's what you're stepping into, like you're thinking there's a mask mandate and then everyone starts taking off their masks, I'd be a little bit peeved.
Mind you, a plane is still a place where vax cards are not checked and have never been checked. And the reason I think that does matter, even though you can still get sick when you've been triple vaxxed, as I did, quadruple vaxxed. I know people who've gotten sick after being quadruple vaxxed, is that your likelihood of dying is far, far lower. And so the generalized risk of like, are you going to kill someone is pretty low. But
also your likelihood of getting the virus is lower. And I know this because you got it. And I said, fuck it. I'm not wearing a mask in my own home. At this point, if I get it, I get it.
That's how much of an anti-masker you are.
That's how much of an anti-masker I am. And I didn't get it because, I am triple vaxxed and because, we sleep in separate rooms. But the point is, no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it was, so it does lower your risk of transmission. That's not to say it's zero. It's not zero. You could still get it, but it's way less likely to be hospitalized.
So how do we get here? Who overturned the CDC's very own? Because this was not coming from the Biden administration. This was not coming from the CDC. This was coming from a district judge in Tampa. So they wrote, the court concludes that the mask mandate exceeds the CDC's statutory authority and violates procedures required for agency rulemaking under the APA. The judge wrote, accordingly, the court vacates the mandate and remands it to the CDC.
So it wasn't the Biden administration. It was a district court judge
Yes.
that overturned the mask
so
mandate?
This judge, their name is Kathryn Kimball, was able to overturn the guidelines by presenting her own definition of sanitation by saying that the CDC was being too broad. The CDC, if you don't know, has been operating under what's called the U.S. Public Health Service Act of 1944, which gives the federal government certain powers to respond to public health emergencies, which, like, thank God that fucking exists. I didn't even know we had something like that. Yeah. I'm like, great, because we haven't been acting like we had anything like that. So that's what the CDC said. That's what the judge said. The CDC was going to assess their own rules around the mask mandate and extend it. It was going to expire on April 18th. They were going to extend it to May 3rd to allow them to study the BA2 Omicron subvariant of the coronavirus that's now responsible for the vast majority of cases in the United States. But they hadn't done that yet. So they were waiting on that. Meanwhile, the airline lobbyists were like all aflutter. So the requirement for travelers was a target of months of lobbying from the airlines, which sought to kill it. The carriers argued that effective air filters on modern planes make transmission of the virus during a flight highly unlikely. Republicans in Congress also fought to kill the mandate, but of course for other reasons, because, yeah, of course they did.
So they're anti-science genocidal maniacs.
Yeah.
Normal Republican reasons.
Sorry, I don't know why I said Kathryn Kimball, but so this is a district judge named Mizelle.
Oh.
Hang on. Why am I fucking up her name here? Let's
find out.
Kathryn Mizelle. Yeah, I don't know why I thought it was Kimball. I was like, all right.
So the alliteration.
So Kathryn Mizelle sits on the district court for the Middle District of Florida. She was nominated by former President Donald Trump in September 2020 at age 33 and confirmed by a 49-41 Senate vote later that year.
I'm sorry.
All of this.
She's 33?
She's 33 years old, and that comes into play a little bit later.
Oh boy.
So she's also happens to be married to Chad Mizelle, who
of course
served as acting general counsel in the Department of Homeland Security during the Trump administration. So we've got a little bit of nepotism going on there.
I love a good Chad. Yeah.
I've been informed that her name's actually Kathryn Kimball Mizelle, so maybe Kimball being her maiden name. Thank you, Paige.
Middle name could be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When she was confirmed by the Senate, there was actually controversy. So during her confirmation process, the American Bar Association said she wasn't qualified for the position because she had not been practicing law for long enough.
Oh, I remember this. Yeah.
The ABA recommends that nominees for federal judgeships have at least 12 years of experience practicing law, whereas Mizelle was nominated for a current position only 8 years after passing the bar. So they were like, don't do this.
And they're like, a recommendation is not a law. Get in there.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, do you even have to be a lawyer? Like, what are the rules? Because at this point, I feel like all rules were just kind of made up. Right. And then Trump came in there and he said, like, a dog is now head of the Treasury. What are you going to do? Make a rule that says dogs can't be head of the Treasury? Like, he just kind of...
Yeah, no, he made it up. I mean, and remember, now there's the idea that, like, oh, what if Trump becomes speaker if Republicans retake the House? Like, what?
Yeah, I don't...
What the fuck? That you can do that? Why would you make him? You can make anyone speaker. We've got Pelosi, but we could have had like The Rock as speaker this whole time.
It's a good point. I didn't know we could just have anyone as speaker. If you're gonna have anyone who's to be a speaker,
you should have a dog. Actually,
you should make it someone with a nice voice, like Morgan Freeman should be the Speaker of the House.
All right. So more on Mizelle, or Kathryn Kimball Mizelle. She was not only a Trump appointee, but she was part of the Federalist Society, right? A far right think tank, as well as part of the Koch brothers funded Teneo network. She once called Justice Clarence Thomas the greatest American alive.
God.
And before this ruling, she helped to overturn things and do things like overturning Title IX protections for trans athletes, overturning other anti-discrimination protections of the LGBTQ plus community, restrict voting rights, argue that the ACA protecting people with pre-existing conditions was
The
unconstitutional.
only part of the ACA that is good.
Yeah, the only part. Like, we're not, no. We don't want to go up to the mandate part. We're going up to the fact that you have to cover people.
That you have to cover pre-existing. It's the one part that everyone is like, no, I'm chill on that. That's,
Yeah.
oh my God. They're just like, it's whatever the worst thing you can imagine is their politics. It's just it's a grab bag of shitty politics.
And she's had a swipe at COVID regulations before. So she filed an amicus brief on behalf of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce opposing a labor union's request the Trump administration's OSHA that OSHA implement emergency standards to protect healthcare providers and other essential workers. So you don't have to protect them.
Yeah, that's
This is early in the pandemic.
it's so strange because I don't even know, like, ideologically where it comes from. Like, I say what you will about like libertarians, but they're like their ideology makes them it's somewhat consistent. Like they're usually just like, I think that all drugs should be legal and that, I should be allowed to eat people. And it's like, oh, okay. All right. But, I get it. But there's nothing here that ties this politics together except for what's the more evil option.
Exactly.
It's like,
well, there's no consistency when it comes to COVID and the far right, because is it vaccines or is it masks? You really need to pick one. Right?
Yeah.
Like, why are you so anti-mask? Is it shutdowns? Because that's not even happening anymore. Even though there was a fucking like insane stop the mandate rally in Los Angeles a couple weeks ago with like the likes of Jimmy fucking Dore up in there. Just like, what? Yeah, no joke. Max Blumenthal spoke at it. This is not made up. These are,
oh my God.
This is what the fake leftists have turned to. Because they need to, they're on team invent oppression, and we can't talk about the atrocities in Ukraine that aren't being committed by Russia.
I like that they're mostly on team how get more YouTube money, which is hey, that's a great team. I'd love to be on that team, but I believe in something.
So Javier Becerra, the head of Health and Human Services, is saying that they're likely gonna appeal the ruling. But Biden has said it's, quote, up to them when asked if Americans should continue to wear masks on planes and in airports. And I got to say, I truly think that if there's one place you need to be masking, it's on a fucking plane. I don't care. I know there's HEPA filters, blah, 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 blah. But I get normal sick on planes. If I don't like wash my hands a bunch, stock up on like vitamin C, all my like fun tinctures that I love, I get regular sick off of planes. How many of us have gotten normal sick off planes? And what does everyone say after you get sick? It's the air. It's that air in there. Yeah. So the idea that like COVID's gonna sort of magically like go away, and it's silly to me. Again, I think this would be very different if we were mandating Vax card checks, which I think would make everyone feel a lot safer that they weren't in danger of dying, and then people can choose whether or not they want to wear a mask. On top of that, there's still immunocompromised people out there. There's still, people who've survived. Once again, my dad who does not have COVID antibodies after undergoing chemo. So,
and your uncle who died.
And then there's my uncle. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like it's still very real. I understand everyone's hopefulness right now in terms of like getting over it. So like I don't like the idea of people, trying to say, hey, don't celebrate the fact that the numbers are going down. Like be scared. Like I'm not with that. But you don't have to announce it on the plane. Well, in fact, if I were the pilot of a plane, I would probably just like, I'm not going to tell anyone that the mask mandate isn't
Yeah.
going on.
No one's gonna
And
say shit.
no
to
one's
you.
gonna say shit. And then if someone just takes off their mask, you just don't correct them.
Exactly.
And then if
Exactly.
I mean, that's what I say.
Tell the flight attendants,
we-
or like, and when you land, maybe when you land, say it.
I don't know, just like, yeah, when you land, say
That's
it and
a
just
fun
like,
thing to do.
oh, that was your last
Hey, I
mask flight.
apologize for that awful landing.
Yeah, right.
And guess what? See how you land first.
Yeah.
Then you know, you use it.
Exactly. I mean, it just seems like it's I get being hopeful, and I am hopeful.
Sure.
I'm very hopeful that this pandemic will be put behind us. But that doesn't mean masks are bad. They've been proven to be
Also,
good.
for those of you guys doing the math, I did get COVID while I was pregnant,
Yeah.
which sucked and made me insanely tired. But guess
Mhm.
what? I survived, and so, knock on wood, so did the life inside of me.
Yeah, knock.
Meanwhile, a
wood.
lot of anti-vax moms have held out, and there's been the data on
It's not
miscarriages
good.
and yes, and
It's fucked up.
birth defects is bad.
Which is
it's
like
really, really bad.
Really, if there's ever a reason, like, fucking come on.
What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.